Hello, everybody. This is Mickey Moore, your host of Run Life Today. Welcome to another episode where we are bringing you authentic and inspiring conversations with individuals that seem to have learned an art of running more of life and life running them. Basically, figuring out the secrets to integrating work and life to some degree of success. At any time you want to access more of our episodes, like us, watch us, follow us, please visit our website, runlifetoday.org. I am very excited to have a good friend of mine and a business acquaintance to some degree, Mutaqee Akbar. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to being on your podcast.
Well, I know it, you probably miss me. We don't see as much of each other as we used to.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
but no, man, you're certainly one of those that we wanted to have on the show to share your story, but of course, your advice as well to help others. So let's jump right into it.
Okay.
Again, so we've known each other for 4 years.
Yes.
I think it's about 4 years, pretty
Yes.
closely. But for the benefit of our audience,
Mm.
let's do a little bit of that background conversation first.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about where you're from and your family, maybe your upbringing, all the way through to all those college years that you spent.
Okay. Well, since I'm so young, it's not going to be that long of a story.
There you go.
I'm born and raised in Tallahassee, Florida. Went to FAMU DRS, which is the research school of FAMU of Florida A&M University from kindergarten through 12th grade. My parents, my dad's a professor, but also like a consultant. So he, traveled the world doing speaking and writing books and things. And my mom, she's now a professor. Throughout our childhood, she was actually working towards her PhD while being an elementary school teacher or elementary school principal, and just kind of stayed in education. So two educators pretty much. So I have a twin brother, older sister, and so all of us kind of navigated Tallahassee, through the 80s and the 90s, and got through it, with no big hiccups, major hiccups, or anything. I went on to Morehouse College in Atlanta. My goal at that time was to be an engineer, so I was a chemistry and chemical engineer major at that time. My first year of chemistry, my first test was a dress size. And so I was like, all right, maybe this is not the route I want to go. And I did a couple internships also at NASA in college because I got a NASA scholarship at Morehouse. And it was, of course, it was an interesting experience, but just not for me, so to speak. In the cubicle, working with things, and didn't have that personal interaction that I thought that I needed. And so I started thinking, okay, what else could I do? Started looking more into law at that point, and like intern with the judge in college and in the courtroom. And I was like, wow, this is more me. And so I started studying for the LSAT, went on to law school, went to the University of Miami for law school. And even then, like I don't like to kind of put myself in a box and just say, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. And so I kept it open. I took general classes, interned with Allstate in their general counsel's office, interned at the Florida Supreme Court, interned at Parks and Crump and personal injury, public defender's office. I kind of gave myself a lot of experiences so I would know what I wanted to do. And criminal law just kind of pulled me to it for a number of reasons. And one of those is, just like being in the courtroom, I always saw people that looked like me on one side and didn't look like me on the other side. And usually the people that looked like me were the people that were, the defendants. And the people that didn't look like me were the lawyers, the judges, and, everybody else. And I just felt like I can have an impact in that world. So I became a public defender.
Okay,
And
wait.
oh,
All right.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I know you got to get to court, but we can't be moving
Okay.
this fast.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We'll be done in 15 minutes. Right.
Okay.
You know, uh, so I certainly again want to dig into that, and that's going to be
Okay.
on that career lane that I want to get to.
Okay. Okay.
But I got a couple follow-ups again, just
Okay.
dig a little bit. I've had the pleasure, of course, of meeting your dad.
Yes.
I've not met your mom, and I've
Mm.
talked to your siblings,
Yes.
and of
Mm.
course, it's very obvious the impact, the love of education, if you will, how
Mm.
important academics was growing up, right? Because
Yes.
of the influence of your parents. And so kudos
Mm.
to them and
Yeah.
y'all for grabbing that. But
Mm.
a high school Mutaqee,
Yeah.
give me a couple words. So explain high
I
school.
was I was like the sneaky academic. I was like when I say sneaky, I would be in the back of the class playing, but I was also the guy that was doing this work. And so when my friends would like get called out or get in trouble, they would, be like, well, what about him? The teacher was just like, I didn't see it, or I got my work done. And so when I graduated salutatorian in my class, and my entire class was like, how? He was with us partying, he was playing, laughing, the cool kid, but he still got salutatorian. So I was good at playing, enjoying it, but also getting my work done.
Nice, nice. There you go. See, salutatorian,
Yeah.
sneaky salutatorian.
Yeah.
Nice. So, okay, and then so Morehouse, I think you said, and then U of M, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
of course, you live in Tallahassee, and you
Yeah.
went to FAMU DRS.
Yes.
And of course, we have TCC, FSU. I mean,
Mm.
you've got love for a few different universities for different reasons. I've noticed.
I do. Yeah, I mean, FAMU, like I probably give more money to FAMU than Morehouse or University of Miami, and that's because I was my entire upbringing was right there at the foot of FAMU. But like, of course, like I love Morehouse, my alma mater. I have a connection to University of Miami because I think that's where I kind of grew. As a person, I probably grew more in law school than I did during my college years, and of course, I root for Florida State, except for when they play in University of Miami. I just stay quiet at that point.
All right. Well, thank you for at least staying quiet against Florida State. All right. So the last piece, if you were to say you learned one, two, three things from your parents, what are the most obvious things that you learned from your parents?
The importance of education. That was always key, and like you said, I think a lot of that came from their backgrounds as educators. But so they always like get the work done, and to be honest with you, FAMU DRS was not known for its education. It was more, they had us there for the social aspect. When I say the social aspect, it was, all black teachers. So they thought that it was important for us to know who we are as black, black kids, black children, black people growing up. And so to supplement that, we went to summer programs and tutors and all those things. So they didn't give us a pass because the school wasn't known for that. So education was always key to that. And so I guess like to back that up, the social part is something that we really learn from them. Just it's important to know who you are. And knowing who you are, I guess, I think gives you that confidence to function in society. And so that social piece of our blackness, being African, African American, being African, really knowing what that's about. It's not your descendants from slaves, your descendants from kings and queens, your descendants from people who survived slavery, your descendants of people who survived segregation and Jim Crow, and you have a responsibility because of who you are and where you came from. And so they always instilled that in us. So we, celebrated Kwanzaa, and Kwanzaa, for those who don't know, is it's a celebration that was created in the 70s to like with 7 principles to kind of guide us into like know who we are. And so we like now I enjoy teaching that to my son. So that social aspect is important. And family is always important. Like keep your family first. So, my brother, sister, and I always stay tight. Of course we had fights and things like that, but even them, my parents like make sure it's, like you gonna fight, but make sure you come back together. And we're a small family, so my parents always made sure that we stayed close knit. They got divorced when I was 12 years old. But I don't remember Thanksgiving where all of us weren't together. They made sure, like, even though the marriage didn't work, the family was still intact. My grandmother, who passed away a couple of years, who's my maternal grandmother, worked for my father for 10 years after the divorce. And so it didn't, because family at the end of it was more important than anything, and so they wanted to make sure of that. So that's something that I carry on now.
So academics, social, cultural, history, traditions, etc., and this love of family. I think that's great. And cultural importance, right? Whatever culture, right? Wherever you're from,
Right.
there are some things about every culture, whether it be, like for me, when our kids were born, I think our roots go to, Italy, Scots Irish, Audrey is of course Filipino.
Right.
We tried to grab some of those cultural things and teach and celebrate when they were born and during the holidays. Just trying to keep that alive because
Right.
we should, right?
Right.
Historical and relevant, and
Right.
so I certainly admire that, and I'm glad to. And I know you personally, you probably are the one that celebrates it the most when you mention Kwanzaa, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know what Kwanzaa is, but
Yeah.
you're one of the persons I see most,
Yeah.
publicly celebrate Kwanzaa every year,
Yeah.
and that's awesome.
Yeah, and more so now, like, since my son was born, and now that he's becoming more aware, because I remember what it did for me, and I didn't appreciate it. Of course, I was just looking forward to the gift on the last day growing up, but looking back, I appreciate it a lot more for what it instilled in me. Yeah. And a lot of people, I didn't realize, we started doing the one thing that COVID did was brought Zoom to life, and being able to put stuff on Facebook and things like that. So our family started doing the Kwanzaa celebrations that we used to do when we were growing up. We started doing them on Facebook Live this last year, and so many people have come to me like, "Yeah, I saw it, I appreciate it, I learned so much," and that means a great deal. Just kind of sharing that with the community as well.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I agree. All right, so let's transition to a different lane. Let's talk about career. We started getting into that, but specifically, thanks for sharing with us kind of how you got into law, found law. Again, that's one of my questions is how did you end up? How did you know you wanted to be an attorney? But obviously, you've already shared that. You went into engineering. Really, what NASA wasn't as far out as you thought it might have been.
Right.
That way.
It wasn't that out of the world for me.
Okay, then you kind of want to up me. Thanks for right? Stars just didn't align for you. Ooh.
Right. Okay, I'll let you have it.
Okay. All right. But so let's pick back up. So your first paid opportunity you were starting that story was a public defender, right?
Yes. Yes.
So then walk us through to you started running your own, you are today in the firm.
All right, so I did the public defender's office for 3.5 years at West Palm, and so public defender life is either you're a lifer or you go to get the experience, and then you kind of branch off at that point. The interesting thing is that was my first full-time job of my life. So and I guess if I had a fourth kind of thing that I got from my dad specifically was like entrepreneurship. So I've always known that I wanted to have my own business, growing up. Just didn't know what that business was going to be. Well, it was a football team when I was a kid. So I knew once I left the public defender's office, most likely I would open up my own firm. So that became the path that I wanted to go on. The plan was to open up a firm with a buddy of mine down in South Florida, and we was actually within months of doing that. But then my grandfather passed, and then the weekend that my grandfather passed, my dad broke his knee. And that kind of all gave me the awareness that I need to be closer to home, because if something happens to my dad or my grandparents, anything like that, I needed to be closer. So in that week that I came for a funeral, I never went back permanently to West Palm. I went back to pick up my stuff, but I ended up moving back, and the jitters of, okay, I'm about to jump out here and open up my own firm. So I started like talking to people, seeing if I can like go in other people's offices, anything like that. That didn't work out. So I got on my computer, made my cards, made me a design, and just went on the division of corporations, and just went forward. And like I said, like that entrepreneur spirit was, okay, I'm gonna open up my own business. And I've always had the theory that it's no such thing as an unemployed attorney. Like you can always find, do something to find work. So that's what I did, and I had the benefit of my dad's office, so I turned his library and his office to my office, and it's history from there.
So, okay, and that was, so you came back up here, up to Tallahassee about what time, about what year?
That was in 2007. That was the end of 2007.
Okay, so from 3 to 7, you were in the public defender's office. Favorite thing about being a public defender, least favorite thing?
Favorite thing about being a public defender was fighting for the underdog. As a public defender, you are the least of everybody in the criminal justice system, other than the defendant, of course. But everybody hates you, but that actually gave me a push to say, like, I'm gonna prove myself. Like, I'm not going to be the public pretender that people like to, call public defenders. I'm not going to be the one that just doesn't care, that has a bunch of cases. My motivation was being, I guess, like under, I can't think of the word I want to say, but my motivation was the fact that people didn't think I was going to bring that much to the table, and so I did. So I liked being the underdog in that situation. The least favorite thing probably was the pay, but again, this was my first job, so it was the most money that I ever made before in my life. But it's difficult being a public defender, because you don't pick your cases, and you get those people that just had a terrible time in life, and sometimes it sucks the life out of you also. You hear those stories, you see the injustices, you see how they're treated, and that's difficult, and so, like I said, like, the lifers figure out a way to navigate that. But like a lot of people, most of us, just you get the experience, you get what you can out of it, you just kind of like move on from there.
Yeah, I mean, the mental health, the emotional strain of being in positions like that would be great, because you can only do so much.
Right.
And again, you got to take care of you at some point. It reminds me of the state attorney's office, starting place, right, for attorneys out of school. They go to state attorney's office. They don't make much, but on the roads, it's their first job. But you get the experience to then maybe go out in the private industry, right?
Right.
So let's talk from public defender. So now 2007, 2008, then you decided to open your own firm, right?
Yes.
Sorry, let me use the legal term, hung your own shingle.
Yes.
Right. All right. So 2007 and 8. Now here we are in 2021. So yeah, a lot of progress, right, between then and now. Just being familiar with your business. You have your own office space, you have your own employees, all that. But just give us a few highlights of 7 to 2021 at Akbar Law Firm.
Highlights. Like when I came back to Tallahassee, I was Naeem Akbar's son. And because he made a name for himself, obviously, and everything. And so, now that turned into Akbar as me as an individual, and people knowing me like for me, for my work, and and all the stuff that I do. So that's like definitely like a highlight of it, and just being able to, like I said, like make a name for me and my office, and it's definitely a highlight to be able to employ people, up to 7 or 8 people under that roof. And being able to like fight for all the people that I fought for over the years, and it's not always like winning trials or getting case dismissed. Sometimes it's just getting a great deal or giving somebody a second chance, and seeing those people sometimes 14 years later saying, hey, thanks what you did, here's what I'm doing now. So those will all be considered highlights.
And then, so when did you first open your own office, like get out of his office?
Ooh, that was I guess about 6 years ago. So that was like 2015. Yeah. So in there for about 9 or 10 years, and then on my opened up after that.
Okay, so Mutaqee, you were telling us a little bit about practice, right? So what areas do you mostly focus on versus?
Okay, I mostly focus on the criminal defense part, and then the litigation for the personal injury cases. So if it's going to court, going to trial, I kind of jump in on that part. My law partner, Attorney Brandy Thomas, she does the family law part. We're picking up bankruptcy just to kind of help people, because we anticipate, because of COVID, that might pick up as well. And yeah, I mean, so we probably, like, of course, criminal defense is probably the bigger part of the practice, because that's what I've been doing. It's also the most strenuous part of it as well, like a lot of court hearings, a lot of depositions, things like that. And but we're picking up a lot more in the other areas as far as like personal injury and family law and everything.
And of course, as you know, I'm married to an attorney.
Yes.
We can talk about all this for another hour, but I want to get to some more lanes, right? But congratulations on running your own business. I understand how
Thank
you. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Let's transition to another lane that I know you spend a lot of time in. It's the community involvement lane, right?
Yes.
So whether it be coming on board, helping people on campaigns, supporting them financially, but tell us a little bit about your commitment to the community.
And I think this goes back to what we were talking about, like that social aspect that I was like grown up in. I've always known that I had a responsibility to the community, and so it comes natural. And when I say it comes natural, I would rather, if I had a choice, I think I would like rather be home and with the family, or always focusing on my business. But I think it's important to have an impact on what goes on around me, have a say-so on what goes on around me. And people, believe it or not, listen to me just because I have this attorney, because I'm an attorney. And so that gives me a platform, and that also gives me some influence. And because and I think it gives me even more influence because I'm not paid by campaigns when I help somebody out on the campaign. I'm not doing it as a lobbying position. When I lobby for certain things or advocate for certain things, it comes from my heart. It comes from my purity. I guess it comes from a pure place for me, and I know it's not always, the positions I take are not always popular or in agreement with everybody, but it comes from a place that I think is important for the community.
And those, volunteerism, right? So you learn by example there, but if I remember correctly, I think Boys Choir you've been involved with, Frenchtown organization. What are some of those organizations that are on a board now?
Now I'm serving as the NAACP president for the Tallahassee branch, which has been a challenging year because the nationals don't allow any like face to face, so it's running this civil rights organization via Zoom, virtually, which has been a challenge, but it also gives me another platform and to address some of the things that we see in the community. I'm on the board for TMH Foundation, which is a completely different perspective for me to see and to be a part of, and to give a different voice on like in an organization that doesn't typically have like the community guy. They have attorneys, but not necessarily the community guy. So there have been times that I spoke up for the janitors and the workers in the hospital that doesn't necessarily have that voice. What else? I'm about to be on the Boys Town board, which I'm looking forward to. And one of the things that we just finished doing was putting together the neighborhood plan for Frenchtown, which I think is extremely important to start that revitalization process and bring money into the Frenchtown community.
And again, I know you're being a little more humble because in our work together, people come to you and seek you out for a lot of different things, financial support through the firm, but you're the candidates in town for policy. They come to you. So again, I know we could probably talk another hour just about that, but I want to move forward because again, I know you're doing this because you're in between litigation or courtroom and everything. I want to keep moving. Okay, so let's get to another lane. So I understand, as you said earlier, you're youthful, right? But it still requires that you spend some time being active, right? Taking care of your body, mind, body, soul, whatever else it may be. But share with us a little bit of your commitment to fitness, being active, living an active lifestyle, your hobbies, that kind of stuff.
I could do a lot more, and I would be honest about that. I was in the gym for about a year or so, and then my son's schedule kind of got in the way of me having like the regular gym schedule. So now it's really just trying to get outside as much as possible. Instead of us, my son and I, watching TV, we go to the park, we run around, we do things, and then just at home, kind of workouts and kind of like keeping my body fit that way. I also, how you doing? I also, as far as like food, like my eating habits, I think helps me out a lot. Health-wise, I'm pescatarian, and for those who don't know, like it's I don't eat any chicken, beef, pork, so it's the only meat I eat is fish, and so I think that helps, like fitness-wise as well.
Yeah. So what's your favorite fish?
Ooh. Grouper, I think. I like a good grouper. The Florida boy, man.
When I worked at a restaurant years ago, I used to hate fish when I was growing up because I was always afraid, the fish we would catch, nobody know how to fillet it really well, so I'd always cut the bones. So when I worked in the restaurant, I finally learned about fish. Fish, grouper, salmon, mahi, and they know how to cut it and fillet it for all you get.
Right. So that makes it easier.
It makes it easier. So then let me get to the next lane, which is family, right? And I really wanted to talk about this lane because I know it's a new one for you. I'm talking about your son, of course, not family, but so talk a little bit about your commitment there, and if you don't mind as well, the commitment to co-parenting too. That takes time, it takes planning, all of it. Right?
Yes.
For a little bit of that commitment.
Well, I mean, he literally changed my world. And people talk about that all the time, and I would hear people say that and had no idea until when I held him in my arms the first time. Almost exactly 4 years ago. His birthday was a couple weeks ago. And so my entire commitment has been to him. Every decision that I make every single day is with him in mind, which, like when you're out there single life and, it's just you, that's not always the case, you know. So that's definitely, you know, has impacted me a great deal. And so you know, his education is important. So I'm starting at now the best preschools, you know, which wasn't always the case that, you know, people thought about, but you know, the best preschools, the best, you know, like making sure his diet is good. Like I said, what he's taking in. So what shows is he's, you know, is he watching? Is it healthy for him? You know, so all of those things I'm thinking about all the time. You know, so and it's no secret that, you know, his mom and I are not together. And so one of the things I did learn, you know, we talked about, you know, my parents, and they always had a great relationship. You know, her and I have a great relationship. You know, probably. You know, and we both understood that we didn't have to, you know, run into a marriage just because society says that's what's supposed to happen. What's important is making sure that this kid has a great life, has positivity in front of him, and he, you know, like you know, lives. He doesn't miss out on anything because we're not together. And so because we both understand that, and of course it's not perfect all the time. I don't want to, you know, like throw that out there, but we have a commitment to him and to each other to make sure that he, you know, like I said, like doesn't miss out on life because we're not in a marriage. And so we make it work time wise. We make it work. You know, sometimes it is us spending time together, like the three of us. We, you know, have a good balance of, you know, her time and my time with him, and are able to do it without the courts getting involved as well. So
Awesome. Yeah, and again, having firsthand you and your son, it's awesome. And I know he, you know, he can recite speeches already, right?
yeah.
I mean, you know, so I think he might be a smart one, just like you, just like like your dad.
I'm hoping smarter.
Yeah, yeah, I think he's well on his way.
Oh yeah,
Well, thank you for sharing that piece. And
no problem.
so I guess, you know, again, I know there's more to your day-to-day
Yeah,
week, and I know you like to travel, and you know you
yeah.
friends. I know you engage in sports, the end game, post game, more things that you do. But I want to get to, you know, the question, right?
Mhm.
Which is, you know, around the tips and suggestions, the things that you use that help you be, you know, again, a little more in control where you spend
Mhm.
your time and energy, right?
Yeah.
So as far as that integrating work and life to a successful degree, no formula, right?
Right.
But it's an art. So what are those things that you were always trying to do to be in more control of life and life running you? What are those tips you want to share?
I think finding your passion, and because like pretty much everything I do, I have a love for it. I have a passion for it, and so that makes it easier. So when I do the community work, it's not like, oh man, I need to go to this event. Like it's you know, I'm going to make an impact. I'm going to do something. So for me, it's not necessarily work. What I do every single day is stuff that I love to do. So it's not me going to work. It's me going to do something I love. And then, and I'm learning this more and more also, like setting those boundaries as well. Like when I say setting those boundaries, it's like saying no sometimes. It's like not going to that event sometimes. It's you know, just turning off your phone and just kind of checking out, so you can enjoy, you know, so I can enjoy my son, so I can enjoy my family, and just kind of getting away and knowing that that work will be there when I get back. Those voicemails or phone calls or emails or whatever will be there when I get back, and kind of having confidence that people will understand that that you have to sometimes like kind of step away and then come back to, you know, to what's in front of you.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard the word boundaries before somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
a great guy taught me that.
Uh, so yeah, passion, right? 1,000%. I mean, if you don't care about what you're doing in the first place, you know,
Right,
why try to figure out a way to put it in your life? You know,
right, right.
it should be something that you value, that you care about. before you try to fit it into your work life. So
Right.
thank you for that. That makes sense. And then, yeah, I'm a fan of boundaries, giving yourself space or saying no, whatever
Right.
boundary it might be. But
Right.
you have to, because
Right.
otherwise burnout, especially if you
Right.
own your own business. I mean, again, you own your own business. So
Right.
every lane in that business depends upon you already. And
Exactly.
when can you unplug
Mm.
and just to let it go so that
Mm.
doesn't impact your son, right? Because they
Right.
see it. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
you probably already learned that, man. They see everything you do and
Oh
everything
yeah.
they hear everything you say.
Oh
So
yeah. A sponge, a little sponge.
uh, and that's not always a positive thing when they hear everything we do.
Oh
But
yeah.
but look, yeah, anything else that you want to add before I do a wrap here? Any other suggestions or tips as far as running more of life than life running you?
No, that's I mean that's all I have. And like I said, like obviously a work in progress, and and trying to get better every day.
Yeah, aren't we all? Aren't we
Yeah.
all? Well, Mutaqee, thank you again. It's great to see you, and I appreciate you again fitting us into your work life for
No
this
problem.
interview. And as always, everybody, go to our website, runlifetoday.org, for more information, access to all of our episodes. But we appreciate the time today, and hopefully, I'll see you soon again. Face to face, and we can get past maybe a Zoom meeting. We can have coffee or something like that.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I appreciate the opportunity and appreciate being able to be on your platform.
All right, man. Take care.
All
I'll
right.
see you soon.
Yes, sir. Take care.